Hello students, today we're going to talk about how to convert between the metric and the customary systems. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you have your reference chart in front of you. To be able to access that, if you go to this link and pull it up, it looks like this. And all of this information down here is going to be helpful to you. All the information about doing like meters to inches, kilometers to miles, and so on. So let's go back to our notes for today. Once you figure out what the conversion is, you're either going to figure out to multiply or divide it, or you can use a proportion like we did when we were converting customary units. Either way will get you the right answer. So let's take a look at some examples. Let's say that my son Miles rides his little Tykes car 1.2 kilometers. We want to know how many miles is that. So they tell us on a conversion chart that 1 kilometer is 0.62 miles. If I type into my calculator 1.2 times 62, I get 0.744. The reason I multiplied is because I have 1 kilometer is 0.62 miles and he went 1.2 kilometers. So I'm just going to multiply those two together. To be able to do it with a proportion, I would do the same thing that I did with my customary units conversions. So I could write 1 kilometer equals 0.62 miles. And then I'm going to put kilometers with kilometers and miles with miles. And I know that I went 1.2 kilometers, so I'm going to write 1.2 in here, and here's my variable. You can see that when I cross multiply, I do 0.62 times 1.2, which is exactly what I did here. Let's take a look at another example. My daughter Faye weighs 28 pounds. I want to know how many kilograms is that. The conversion chart tells us that 1 pound equals 0.454 kilograms. So I'm going to take 28 times 0.454. And when you type that in, Faye weighs 12.712 kilograms. If I wanted to write it as a proportion, I could write 1 pound equals 0.454 kilograms. And that's what my chart says. And then I'm going to do pounds with pounds and kilograms with kilograms. And I know that Faye weighs 28 pounds, so I'm going to write 28 here, and I'm going to put my variable there. Well, here I'm going to do 28 times 0.454. And then I would divide that by 1, so my answer is 12.712 again. Let's look at one more example. Let's say that in order well, looks like I'm frozen. Okay, let's say that in order to be able to ride the rides at Disney, you have to be 40 inches to ride the rides. Well, Miles is 0.9 meters and Faye is 0.95 meters. So I want to know, can my kids ride the rides? Well, what I would do is I would use this conversion chart to figure that out. So let's say that I want to do a proportion here. I know that 1 meter equals 39.37 inches. And Miles is 0.9 meters. So if I type 39.37 times 0.9, go ahead and do that and see what you get. You should get 35.433 inches. Right? And then Faye, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to use the same proportion, except we're going to put 0.95 here. So I'm going to do 0.95 times 39.34. You go ahead and do that. And you should get 37.4015. 37.4015 inches. Can either of my kids ride the rides? Well, since neither of them is 40 inches, Miles cannot ride and Faye cannot ride. So we'll have to go in a couple of years. Hopefully this was helpful and we will practice this more. Have a great day.